Next on the Royal Blue Podcast, we break down the Michigan State game. What a fantastic win. I am joined by Mike Alisa, so you know it's about to go down. Let's get it. This is the Royal Blue Podcast by the players for the fans. I am your host, Brian Logan. The Royal Blue Podcast provides Cougar Nation with a weekly player's perspective look at all things Brigham Young football. Big thanks to all the fans that have been just blasting the heck out of me on Twitter and social media, telling me to get back in the studio. So here I am on the Sunday, going down for episode 7 of the Royal Blue Podcast. And the title of this episode is Been There, Done That. Big shout out to Uncle Blaine Fowler for coming up with this. We'll explain a little bit more of why we titled it Been There, Done That. But like I said earlier, with Michael Alisa, former BYU football player, also with the producer of this show, the guy that makes everything possible. Every sound that you guys hear, the fact that we are in this building right now with these podcasts, these microphones. Alan Seawright, please step up to the mic and introduce yourself to the fans out there.
Hi, I'm a former player. No, I am a former BYU player. I played lacrosse and rugby.
Yeah.
I ran with the football team for 3 weeks in the summer of 2004, and I sucked. I was awful. Nobody asked me to come walk on.
Worst 3 weeks of my life.
I didn't.
Right.
I went and played rugby that
I was so sore. I couldn't even tie my shoes or wipe my butt. No,
To be fair, the only thing that really got I was in pretty good shape. The only thing that got sore was my hands because I was catching passes from John Beck, man.
Oh, yeah. You didn't have
I was
gloves
running
on,
with
bro?
the receivers. No, dude, I didn't. They weren't giving me gloves.
What?
Some idiot kid
You
who
got
showed up.
You got all that gear, but didn't get gloves.
Dude, I got the gear later. So I also, my other claim to fame is I was the director of the Inside BYU Football TV show.
This is different.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. No, this was in 2004, man, when I was actually a student. I'm old. I'm older than you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
You look great.
Yeah.
You age very well.
I'm,
Yeah.
as Jamal would say, a middle-aged vanilla man.
He said that,
I will
man.
wear that with pride with Spencer and Jerem from
Yes.
BYU Sports Nation.
Yes.
Anyway.
Exactly.
I'm excited to be here, guys. I'm glad to be talking on the mic finally and not just being talked about.
Yeah, I'm happy, man, that you're involved in this. And you know what? When I had this vision, fans and ladies and gentlemen, I wanted our producer to really be a part of this show, kind of like ESPN and some of the other networks out there. The producer will kind of chime in, and it's always funny when the producer does because the producer knows the personality in the guys a lot more than the actual fans, from the behind the scenes things. So the producer can call people out. So I think it's pretty funny, and Alan will play more of a role as we move forward. But I don't like to call you the producer. I like to call you the DJ. And I think it's because of Lil Wayne's song "Go DJ" is why I want to do. I want to do that. What do you think?
And Alan's hilarious.
Well, yeah,
he's
exactly.
a witty dude. You
And
get to know him, you're gonna love him.
Yes.
I also scratch a main records.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So go to Alan for all things DJ, video, podcasting, all of your needs. Hit up your boy Alan. Another thing I want to introduce to the fans is one of our sponsors, who is Boostability. And I can't say enough and give enough thanks and man, I'm so honored and blessed that Boostability has come on board and wanted to sponsor us and really help with this vision. They're located here in Utah in Lehigh, and they are one of the biggest SEO firms in the world. They have multiple partners, over 20,000 clients that they work for and do search engine optimization. The great thing that I love about Boostability is that they really have a heart for the small to medium-sized business owner. So if you guys are a small or medium-sized business owner that are looking for online marketing, trying to get more traffic, trying to get more leads to your website, hit me up. You could hit Boostability up, let them know that you came from the Royal Blue. But I will personally get on the phone with you guys, at fans out there that own businesses, and do an analysis or an audit on your website, and kind of help you out. I'm in digital marketing as well, so it's fun, man, to get more marketers involved. Mike, don't smile and look at me like that. But thanks to Boostability, with them specializing in rankings, for websites on Google and the search engines, there's a lot of rankings that we would talk about and display from Boostability as far as where BYU ranks, the offense, the defense, opponents, a lot of scouting reports. So they're going to play a huge role in providing a lot of those stats and those numbers. Whew, that was a lot.
And thanks to Boostability, we upgraded from bottled water to Dr. Pepper.
Yes, even though I don't drink Dr. Pepper, I'm a Coke boy.
Ooh.
What?
Maybe Pepsi sometimes. Yeah, I don't like Dr. Pepper that much,
It's all
man.
right. It's okay. Nobody's
It
perfect.
has a weird peppery taste.
Coke goes good with everything.
Everything. That's right. All right, so let's get into this first quarter, man. And let's just go into just the overall reaction. And Mike, my reaction is going to be a lot different than yours, but how do you feel about this win?
Bro, I was like this close to like crying happy tears. It felt so good to see BYU just dominating, to do it at Michigan State and in playing their game and the way they did it. I couldn't have been happier with the performance, especially offensive line. Holy cow! And then of course Jamal. I mean,
Yep, doing it big.
from someone who played running back, watching him run all over the place and just run wild in that last 64-yard or whatever it was. Dude, I was like jumping up and down. I was like punching people next to me just 'cause I was so amped up. But
Slapping fools. Don't get mad. That's a happy slap.
But the line, I mean, and Jamal is the first one that'll tell you, hats off to the blockers. And
Yeah, 100%.
but at the same time, Jamal is I mean, I'd say he's going to be at the end of the season probably the best running back ever at BYU.
Yep. He needs what? Just like 30 or some more yards, right?
He needs another 60-something yards.
Oh, 60, yeah.
But still, he should get that next week.
Yeah.
And if he stays healthy through the end of the season, I mean, the quality of competition goes down. He's going to be putting 200 yards on all of these. I mean, November, he's going to get 600, 700 yards in the month of November.
So the Doak Walker Award watch list, if you're a starting running back for a D1 program, you're on the watch list automatically pretty much. I was on there twice, and I wasn't that good. Jamal has a legit chance. He has a legit chance at being in the conversation at the end of the season. If he keeps this up and the offensive line keeps this up,
Yep.
I mean, we can see him maybe going to the big show.
That's nice, man. I mean, and the biggest thing too that helps out is recruiting, bro. You know what I mean? Because that Y, that logo, you know how many times you're going to be talked about on ESPN as far as the finalists, and kids watch that stuff. I mean, obviously the players in college do, but also the kids in high school. I used to always watch those ceremonies, and because a lot of the biggest schools, like SC and Stanford, all those schools are always sending players to those awards as a finalist. Obviously, those are the branded guys, right? But when you see that one guy that's like Northern Illinois State, Western Kentucky, the schools that only have like one Walmart, you're like, what? Who is that? And so that's how it's a good way just to get overall branding and recognition. Alan, what is your reaction to the game?
My reaction to the game.
How do you feel?
I am not as tough as Michael Lisa. I cried actual tears. I teared up and was excited about it.
I love it.
Oh man, come on. The fact that they went into East Lansing and played a Big Ten team, and they played Big Ten style football. They just jammed it down their throats. I mean, just played lights out. They put 262 yards of rushing on a team that hasn't allowed more than 115 or something, and they gave that up to Wisconsin. I mean, Wisconsin, famous for running the football, right? And we just more than doubled their output.
Yeah, man. It's yeah.
And Taysom, the run game was incredible, but Taysom played really well as well. He was making good decisions.
Turnovers, zero turnovers.
Zero turnovers. We still had, more drops than I'd like to see. But even without that, his percentage was good. His efficiency was really good. I mean, offensively, great team effort. Defensively, incredible effort. Mm-hmm. And we'll get to it later, but Travis Tuiloma stopping a run by pushing his offensive lineman into the running back and taking both of them down. Did you guys see that
I
replay?
didn't see that.
You big bully, Trav.
I gotta watch that.
Oh, beautiful.
It's
Travis.
definitely good to have him back.
Yeah.
He was sorely missed.
Even though he's not in the backfield very much, he makes such a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, he may be the most impactful player on the defense.
Yeah, man. You know, I always say a player that is an impact player is somebody that you have to account for every single snap, right? So, you know, there's times where, you know, somebody that's up for a Heisman that is a running back and they slip out of the backfield, catch like a little 5-yard hitch, and then they're gone for like a 70-yard touchdown. It's like, what are you doing? Out of all the people in the world you're looking at, you're not gonna look at the person that's up for Heisman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, why aren't you looking at Beyonce or, you know, like the prom queen? You ought to look at this. I'm sorry, that's bad, but you get what I'm saying.
Well, and,
you know?
and then leading up to every game, there was always those 2 players that coaches would say, "Hey, watch out for this guy and this guy." And then in practice, the players pretending to be them would wear those little dummy caps.
Yep, you're right.
What, you know, remember those?
You got to wear a red one. Does that mean he's important, or I shouldn't hit him? What does that mean?
So if I'm an opposing offensive coordinator, I have my scout team running with a Travis Tuiloma dummy cap, a Kai Nakua dummy cap. You used to be Butch, but Butch is out, so I wouldn't have
Probably
that.
a Fred Warner dummy cap.
And either Fred Warner, maybe Sai Tautu now, because he showed up big.
Right, he came out. Yeah,
he's the defensive end now.
Y'all can't hold me. Y'all can't hold me. You think 30 minutes is gonna hold me down? And I remember too in practice, if a player was that important, not only would they have the dummy cap on Allen, but we would really put their number in tape. So it was like 3 or something like that, and any type of number that had those weird circles. It would look all grimy because you couldn't really make a circle. It'd be square tape. Square 3. Is that an 8, bro?
It'd be like that white athletic tape we've used, but yeah, it was all for visualization, so you kind of get used to seeing big 91 Travis Tuiloma across the line from you and work on accounting for him on every play.
Yep, exactly, man. And with me, I think this goes back to the title of the show, you know, been there, done that. I don't think I was surprised, man. A lot of people, like, even now are like, oh, what a freaking good win. Oh, my gosh. And I'm like, yep, been there, done that. And you know, in our conversation for BYU TV and Countdown to Kickoff before the show, our pregame show, you know, we had said, look, BYU has played a lot of different or a lot of P5 schools this season. They've played away. They've been in these historic venues where there's 75 to 90,000 people selling out. And every single time they've been very competitive, and they either have come away with you couldn't really say a victory, right, except for Arizona, but at least coming away with the sense of, man, we competed well. We were able to play with these guys. And to me, the fact that they've won, it's like, okay, they should have done this a couple of weeks ago. You know what I mean? Every time that they barely lost a game, it's like, well, if they would have played like this, they would have won. I think except for maybe UCLA, right? Which is, you know, kind of it was a close game, but you know, it was a little bit too much of a last minute comeback, right, for them to really have a chance. But other than that, man, they were in every single game, so this doesn't really surprise me. And the biggest thing I think that surprised me initially was the talent and how the talent compared. Because when I played and we would play against these big schools, we would get slaughtered. You know, it would be bad for us. We could really see the drop off in just talent and athleticism. Doesn't happen all the time, but the majority of the time.
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking the exact same thing. It used to be kind of not gimmicky, but it's almost like for defense, for example, we had to scheme rather than just go, you know, line up and play.
One-on-one, yeah.
And then offense, the same thing. We had to try to do the tricky Arizona offense, you know, because that's what it is. The linemen just kind of block, whether it's a run or a pass, and kind of catches the defense off guard like that. But this was just pure,
straight up man to man, right?
Old school smash mouth football. Man to man,
straight man,
I formation.
Yeah, and I used to always hear, and it used to irk my nerves until we got whooped in 2009 against Florida State, where Coach Mendenhall wouldn't really say this, but Coach Hill was, you're not good enough to beat these guys. You think you just woke up and you were able to beat Oklahoma? No, you worked your butt off. You worked harder than them. So we got to be hard. We got to be smarter. We gotta work harder. We gotta hit harder. We gotta run faster. That's how we compete, and it makes you feel like just small.
I'm not a fan of that. Because I'm all about. Have you read The Secret? I'm all about like the positive vibes.
I can't read a lot of books.
Well, so. I mean, I listen to it. I'm on Audible. I drive around.
Okay, yeah, I can do that.
Calls and stuff, but it's all about being positive, believing, and cutting out any negativity. But you believe it enough, and it makes sense. But yeah, I don't think that. I think that was preached so much to BYU that you're not athletes. You're not athletes. You need to scheme more. You need to study more. You need to work harder in the weight room because all of you are not athletic and can never match up to these P5 teams.
Yeah.
But
and even last season, I was in the locker room and the team meeting room, all year last year, and it was sort of a backhanded approach to that. Coach Mendenhall and a bunch of the other coaches that get up and say, people are going to say this about you, that you're not fast and you're not strong, and you are. It's like, why are you even bringing it up?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, shut up.
Right.
Yeah.
We all know we're
cares what they
fast.
say?
We all know
Yeah.
we're strong. Like, we're a D1 freaking Power 5 school. We're just independent. Let's just go beat the crap out of these guys. And one of my favorite things in the world, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn here, but
No, go ahead.
But Harvey Longy at halftime at the UCLA game last season, when we went into halftime leading them, I think we were leading at halftime.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he goes walking in and just is screaming at the guys, like he's running around to every single position group, and he's like, these mother can't even run with us. They can't run with us. They're in the Pac-12 and they can't run with us. We're gonna run them into the ground. And he's just jumping around, yelling and screaming. And it's funny because Harvey's not like that with the press. When there's a camera on him, he quiets down. And
Nobody's like that with the press, Alan. That's why this show is made for this very reason.
But it's just you see stuff that you wouldn't necessarily see when you're in there, and as a fan, you get to see stuff. And man, Harvey. No one believes in winning more than that guy.
Yeah.
And he, you can see it. Just watch him. Anytime you see a sideline shot, if Harvey's not on the field, look for Harvey Longy because he'll be screaming at somebody.
Standing up.
Or his mother, if you watched on
Or
TV,
his mother.
they had some close-ups of Harvey's mother with the
With the
blue
freaking
BYU
blanket,
flag.
right?
Some of the Michigan fans were like, "Hey, can you let us
Yeah,
see?"
she's standing in
Passy,
front
please?
of Michigan fans and waving it around.
But I'd say Harvey and Jamal Williams has that same type of mentality. Who else breaks off a 67-yarder when you're up? There's 2 minutes left on the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, you're kind of just trying to get first downs if you're an average player, but Jamal Williams is always swinging for the fence.
Yep, exactly. Because he's a competitor, man. That's what I love the most about Jamal and guys like Harvey is that I'm competing at all times, man. If we're walking, if we're done with practice and we're walking to go get a milkshake somewhere, bro, like let's race to the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I want to be number one in everything. If we play Uno, bro, I'm about to win. If I lose in Uno, like don't talk to me for at least 2 minutes. Let me put me in the corner. Let me cool off. And that competitive nature, man, is what separates good players from great players. And Jamal is a great player because of his competitiveness and how he carries himself. But man, this is great stuff. There's so many things that we can go off of, man. I think the biggest thing heading into quarter 2 is talking about the differences with Coach Mendenhall and Kalani. And the reason why I want to get into this is you look at some of the close losses with Bronco and Independent in some of these P5 situations, and for whatever reasons, and we'll get into this in the second quarter, Kalani's team is continuing to push through, fight through, and where you see the improvements, right? And then ultimately you see the beatdown, right? And compared to Coach Mendenhall, where you kind of saw the latter, well, it kind of just depletes. And there's other factors that are involved, but we'll break that down here in quarter number 2. So that's it for the first quarter of play on the Royal Blue podcast. Welcome back to the Royal Blue podcast by the players for the fans. We are now entering into the second quarter of play. Had a great first quarter. We introduced one of our new sponsors, Boost Stability, and we also introduced our DJ. Yeah, I'm just doing it, fellas. I'm just saying DJ Alan Seawright, who is really our producer, but introduce Alan. He'll take a more prominent role with us on the mic. I mean, you're so popular, dude, on Twitter and social media. It's about time that we give the fans a voice.
People love me.
Dude, you're like.
Have you met me?
Dude, like, I met you.
I don't know
before
how to
I
put
met
this, but people know me.
I'm a big deal.
Can we edit in one of those like wah, 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 wah. DJ Allen?
Yes, DJ Allen. That's amazing. So we kind of teased this in the first quarter. We'll hit it in the second quarter, which is kind of the differences of Kalani and Coach Mendenhall through adversity. And it's hard for me to really speak to it as I was playing, because in 2010. We lost 4 games in a row. We beat Washington on the season opener, and then we lost 4 straight. I think we even broke a record for losing at Utah State, which is still embarrassing. But then we went on, and
guys.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was us.
Oh man,
it was us. I don't blame myself though, because there's other people there. But yeah,
it was my fault. We'll be honest.
Yeah,
dang it, Allen.
Allen, when everything goes wrong, at the end of the day, blame Allen. But I mean, that was a completely different team and approach. And Coach Mendenhall to this day says that was one of his favorite seasons because of how we battled through adversity. The biggest thing was people don't know, we had 7 seniors, man. 7 seniors. Only 3 of us were returning starters. When you look at, and it was a secondary, Brandon Bradley, Andrew Rich, and me. Maybe I may be missing one other person, but
that's a good secondary.
Yeah,
actually.
we were. What?
I was gone.
Yeah, we good.
Yeah.
We were amazing,
that's
dude.
Awesome, yeah.
We were like top 15 in the nation in passing. Now it is skewed because our rushing game was like 100th.
Everybody was just running on us. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. But what do you think the reason is, Mike, of being able to battle through adversity as a player, and even from a coaching perspective?
Well, I think that the word, and I hesitate to use it because it's so overused in sports, but swagger.
Oh, yeah.
And I've seen that Kalani's been really good at facilitating that and kind of creating an environment where kids can kind of just do their own thing. You mean it's a little more loose in terms of how they can game prep and what they can do. I see Jamal passing the ball around, just having a good time, and and really believing in his players, backing up his players publicly. But I saw that in their style of play, and I don't know what's going on in the football offices, but I'm sure that it's going on in position rooms, in the team meeting room. There's just this confidence that's growing. They know how good they are, and I don't think that they were surprised at all.
No,
this
not
game.
At
all.
And I see Taysom standing up from piles after he converted that 3rd and short in that last
Swagging
drive.
out.
Man, when he stood up, he just had all the swagger in the world, and that's when I thought to myself, Taysom's back.
Right. Uh-huh.
But it's that environment that he's created, I think, that has been the biggest difference of letting guys.
I think you're
just
right,
play.
man. We had Brandon Bradley on, and he said the same thing. He said, I'm a type of guy that I like to be in a loose type of environment, where I can relax and kind of just chill. And I'm not going to say this is, directly from Coach Mendenhall, but there is the leader of anything, family, whatever organization, it always starts with the leaders, from leadership. So if you are tight and you're more, military, boom, 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 that's going to go to the next people that are in line, which is your coaches, your generals, whatever, all the way down to, your actual players. And so, Brandon felt that he would have played a lot more better, more productive, more stats if he was loose like what we're seeing now.
Yeah.
Same here. I agree with Brandon.
And from a fan's perspective, Alan, and from a player's, because you're a player too. You were a player ER, not a playa.
Oh,
you were a player.
I was a player.
You were
as
a player.
the white guy in the room.
How does it feel, Alan?
I was a player.
It
feels real pale.
Me
is what it feels
and
like.
Mike are always the odd guys out. The only black guy, only brown guy. Now you're the minority. How ironic is that to be the?
I love it.
To be a white minority in Utah, only for like 30 more minutes while we're on this show.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, what do you see? And you can speak more to it because you've been in the locker room with Bronco, and I mean, try to compare what you've been through, like what you've seen personally, compared to what you are hearing Kalani like in the media.
Yeah, well, and I have a little bit of experience. So I was, obviously in the locker room a bunch last season. I was also there for the early part of the transition to the Kalani era. I was in there filming. And just because of the relationships that I built, I was hanging out with the guys. I've been down to the football office and, I'll go into the locker room and talk to the players and stuff every now and then because I'm a sad old man and I have nothing better to do with my time. Yeah, the difference is Bronco was a great coach, a genius, and a very, I don't want to say uptight guy, but
business
strict and businesslike.
Yeah.
And his approach was very much based on that. And it's good to a point.
Yeah.
It was very even keeled, win or lose, it's going to be the same kind of response. And the thing that I'm seeing with Kalani is win or lose, we're getting the same kind of response from Kalani. Mm-hmm. He is amped.
Yep, exactly.
He is excited. He loves the stuff that his players are doing right. And he really doesn't like the things his players are doing wrong. And I don't think there's a huge personality shift from him, whether we win or lose. But what there is a lot more energy,
and like
a
passion.
Huge amount of energy and passion. And that's, something that I sort of bring from the film world. I work in the film industry when I'm not talking about BYU sports. Like,
if you need a video, holla at Alan. Sorry, I was trying to promo you because you're kind of like a sponsor. Holla with an A, not with an ER.
Very subtle plug.
We don't pronounce our E's and our R's on here, Alan. No media talk here.
Holler at your boy for videos. Anyway,
Player257 at gmail.com.
Yes. And I totally lost the thread of what I was talking about.
Well,
no, it's
energy.
No. So it's the energy and the passion. So I've been on lots of film sets, and I've worked in businesses and other things where the CEO or the director of a film is a very low energy, low key kind of person, and you just have that sort of languid energy. And Bronco is a very high energy guy, but he doesn't put that energy into people. He puts it into his work, which is schemes and placement of players and all of that stuff. And so you would get this very, very precise sort of surgical play from his teams, especially from his defenses, maybe a little bit less passion.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing with Kalani is the schemes are still there. Obviously the schemes from Ty are phenomenal. The schemes from Coach E I've been really impressed with.
Yep.
And that's all there. We are giving up maybe a few more sort of big yard plays than we would have under Bronco this season, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
There is a lot more passion from everybody on the field.
But check this out, though. I mean, you're right with that last statement as far as the big plays. But think about turnovers, man.
Turnovers are crazy.
Yeah, we wouldn't. I don't think we would have had the same amount of turnovers. And the reason I think it comes back. Dang, Mike, you're so smart with swag, dude. Because I look at the when you're causing turnovers, it's usually you're going after the ball, right? You're making big hits, or you are intercepting the ball, right? Which a lot of the turnovers have come from. And when you look at the secondary, you got to have confidence. You got to have swag, dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and dust yourself off and get right back to it. Like Aaliyah says, rest in peace. One of our angels.
That song.
And when you have that swag, you just have this different feel, man. Like it's hard to explain it. I mean, Mike started shaking his head. Like it's just hard. It's like, imagine if you just like are a Mac Daddy, right? And you're just like, I could get any girl, you know what I mean? I went on a mission, like my teeth are straight and white, like I got I'm at Brigham right now with a 4.3 GPA, like
in the finance program.
In the finance.
We're talking about Brian Keel.
Right. We are talking about Keel. I'm about to get drafted. I play football. Like I can go into any party and I'm about to get any girl. I'm about to get any girl's number and take her on a date. And you kind of just play with that attitude. Like, I don't care if you're 6'5", if you're a first round draft pick, run a 4.2, it does not matter, man. Like your stats and that whole analysis does not compare to my swag, right? It's like those Nike commercials. My swag is better than your swag. My fast is better than your fast. And I think that's really what you see, or why you've seen this team come so close to these wins, but also you're starting to see them, finally push through it.
The one other thing that I wanted to mention that I've seen is just the level of aggression in play calling.
Yeah.
Which means the coaches are confident. And that's on the offense. I mean, we've seen it a ton on the offense, right? We're going for it on fourth down all the time.
Yep.
We're going for 2. We're doing all this stuff that fans are kind of questioning. But it's all about Ty and Kalani going, we trust our guys to go do what they need to do.
Yeah.
And the players feel it 100%. They go, my coaches believe in me to go out and get these 2 yards we need.
See, Mike, did you ever feel that way with under Coach Mendenhall? And see, I'm gonna be very sensitive and like lay this out right now because I love Bronco more than anything. Still keep in touch with the man to this day. Give him a lot of praise. He's right under there with God and Christ as far as what they've done to my life. In my life.
Sure,
you know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Big
so I'm
impact.
not trying to knock him or anything like that. And again, a lot of it has to do with his philosophy, but really more so the position coaches. That's who we interact with the most. So under just the program and the scheme, did you ever feel that way that that the coaches didn't really have confidence in you or the players or whatever they may be?
Look, I compare it to my family. So we all get together. It can get kind of messy. Like, I mean, there's arguments and bickering, but at the end of the day, you all know you have each other's back.
Right.
And so nothing can penetrate that. Now, you compare it to a family where maybe you don't feel like you have each other's back, and so the bickering and stuff that can make a family fall apart, just like the small things, or in a relationship maybe. But as long as you have each other's back, bickering doesn't even matter. You can fight as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you're there for you.
Yeah.
And man, I felt like there was definitely there was love, and there was a lot of teaching moments, and I learned a ton. And the same thing, I mean, big impact in my life. But I mean, I'd kind of compare it to a teacher-professor relationship, where there wasn't necessarily that trust, that hardcore, man, this guy got my back through thick and thin.
Yeah.
But other, I mean, I hate to say that because same thing as you said. I mean, he has impacted my life in a big deal.
Yeah.
But what I see from the players now is I feel like they have that family type of relationship where, I mean, things might go wrong, people make mistakes, but at the end of the day, they all know they have each other's back, and they recover really quickly from those mistakes.
Right. Well, and two, we don't really know. Alan knows actually, but we don't really know. Even as former players, what really goes on behind scenes with Coach Mendenhall, the head coaches, and their schedules. Right, they're in constant interviews. Right, either over the phone or they're going to places. Right, doing coaches shows at like with Greg Wrubell. You know what I'm saying? They're constantly doing stuff or on the move. So when do you have time to really nurture these players on that relationship level? And even Bronco, would always say, outside of football, I love counseling, guys one-on-one. And he always makes time for you. But I think the difference is, man, is from a head coach, he's not going to go to you, right? You have to actually go to him, put that on his calendar, and it's all good. And who knows, maybe Kalani figured it out, or maybe it's just his personality or whatever the case is he's figured out a way to have that personal relationship, because we just all know he doesn't have it with every kid. If he does, great, but I'm just trying to be realistic. But he's figured out a way, and his coaching staff has figured out a way to where like Mike is saying, I do trust this guy. Because there was times, dude, where people would talk bad about Coach, and I'm like, get out my house now, or I'm driving, skirt, get out the car. Get out the car! Get out right now! Don't talk about Coach like that, But it's because I made that effort, right? I scheduled that stuff or a meeting on the calendar, and they didn't. So they never had that personal relationship. But it also does this though, man. Like Mike is saying, I felt like I fought so hard for him in the program, and I'm there's times I'm like, man, I wish everybody else did. And it's cool to hear your perspective, right? And gone through what I've gone through, and then look at it and see, man, this is what's happening. You know what I mean? And this is, I think, every coach's challenge.
And I fought for Bronco hard too.
Yeah.
I mean, I was the guy posting stuff on social media when the open letter came out about Bronco. Anyway, but I do think there is a difference too with the delivery. I think that Sitake has proven to be a very good people person. He just is one of those guys that people are drawn to. And I was talking to a player who was upset about playing time. And he was one of those kids, kind of knucklehead, but he showed really good athlete, but had showed up to a few workouts late.
Knucklehead.
So he went to Bronco. He went to Sitake and said, "Coach, I'm not seeing more playing time. And he said, "Are you kidding me, bro?" You know, it was in this playful kind of like brother to brother conversation. "Are you kidding me, bro? I'll play you. I'm gonna lose my team." And it was honest. It was straight to the point. Exactly what the kid needed to hear. And the kid, right when he heard it, he realized it was true. And I think, but that delivery, I could see that same conversation happen in Bronco Mendenhall's office, and I could see it could be the exact same point that was driven across, but the kid might leave the office a little more offended or thinking, "Oh man, Bronco doesn't like me," just purely because Bronco loves him just as much as Sitake loves his players. But Bronco's delivery was a little different.
And
it would have sounded like a philosophy lecture.
No, that's.
I mean, I loved spending time with Coach Mendenhall. He is one of, like, there are very few people that I know that I would call a great man or a great woman, and Bronco Mendenhall is a great man.
100%.
Like, he's just one of those people that, like, sees to the core of things quickly, understands it, and can explain it to you very philosophically in a way that makes sense, but is like deep and makes you think.
Totally.
Mm-hmm. And Kalani Sitake, in the small amount of time I've spent, I've talked to him 15, 20 minutes tops, just as smart, just as wise, but he'll come at you and say, "Bro, I play you, I'm going to lose my team." He's not going to give you the whole lecture and the history of thought and Immanuel Kant and all this stuff. He's just going to be like, "Bro."
Well, let me before we get into the halftime show, let me break down two examples. So, I remember when I was in my senior year, going into my senior year, right before spring ball, I was diagnosed with two sports hernias, so on both sides, right? And went and got some counsel, and they're like, "Okay, let's let's get surgery in the next week or so, and then you'll be out just for like 6 weeks. Your recovery time. This is easy, blah blah blah, right?" So I leave the office. I'm so juiced. I'm like, "I'm not doing spring ball. Hey, I'm so excited." So I tell Coach Mendenhall, I had this huge smile on my face. I'm like, "Hey, Coach, talk to the doctors, and I got to get surgery. This is what I have." And he was like writing something, on his paper, and he like dropped his pen, and he like looked up at me, and had like this stale face, like this expressionless face, and he was like, and he crossed his hands, and he goes, how do you think you missing spring ball is going to help this team?" And I paused for a second, and I literally, bro, 'cause I knew the answer. I said, "You're right," and I just turned around and walked out, and I participated in spring ball that season. You know what I mean? And that's one approach, right? And the delivery that you're saying. And an example with Kalani, which I haven't even been a part of the program there in the locker room, but he's already affected my life. After the second loss, I think to this year, one of the kids said, "You know what? Coach Sitake's message to us was, don't let this loss define who you are, and don't take this outside of this locker room." And go back to your families and your parents and your wives, and make sure that they still have their husbands, make sure they still have their sons and their brothers. And I was like feeling like a jerk. I was like, "Oh my gosh, my wife, oh my kids." And because there's been in times where I've let my work affect, who I am, coming home, and that right there is a different delivery. You know what I'm saying? So I give people two examples of the delivery, and I think with Bronco, man, it's just you got to be a more mature spirit, and I don't mean like spiritual person, but just soul, right? In order to understand, his philosophy and his delivery. So I mean, good breakdown right there by Mike and Alan. So that'll wrap up the second quarter. Heading to the halftime show. Stay tuned to the Royal Blue Podcast.
I will never stop like a marathon in Boston. Don't get it confused, cause I never feel exhaustion. I will take
Today's halftime show is sponsored by Rocco's Big City Deli in downtown Provo, feeding us as Provoans. Feeding Provoans. Provoites?
Provoan? Oh, that's the
Provoites.
official.
I like Provoites because like that ties in like the Book of Mormon, right? The Nephites and stuff like that. Let me get back to this read.
Let's go talk to the man.
Let's ask the mayor definitely. But CJ, Veronica, love all you guys and what you guys have done for us, keeping us fed. So go down, let them know that you heard this promo from the Royal Blue Podcast, and you will get buy one get one half off. CJ didn't approve that, but I'm approving it. I'll pay for it.
Delicious.
I'll pay for it if there's any issues. But yeah, that's today's halftime show.
Got so many bars that you thought I was a criminal. Rap it till my head is off. Homie, I will never stop.
Welcome back to the Royal Blue Podcast by the players for the fans. If you haven't done so yet, ladies and gentlemen, please go on social media and follow us on every single account that you can think of: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, Snapchat. I believe Snapchat is coming soon. Trying to figure out this younger generation, trying to connect with them, man. Alan, I'm getting old. You said you're old in the beginning of this. I'm old, man. I'm almost at 30. But I'm going to start snapping a little bit, try to get, a little bit of that younger audience. Mike's laughing at me.
Man, I had to get on Snapchat last year to talk to the players. It was the weirdest experience of my life. Like, hi, I'm a 35-year-old man, and let's Snapchat with her. And then,
I'm Snapchapping right now.
It's weird because I'm like,
chapping snaps?
Snapchapping.
Chapsnat.
I don't care, bro, to
That's what
like
we call it, Chapsnat.
to be on TV
It's
in front
from
of
London.
like 320 million like countries or cameras or whatever or people. But like Snapchat, I feel all awkward. Like I start blushing. Like I turn purple. I don't turn red because I'm
On
black.
Snapchat?
I was going to say.
It's weird. Yeah.
I would feel weird on like Facebook Live.
No.
But Snapchat, you can just delete it and try again.
Oh, see, maybe I didn't know that stuff.
You got a little X
All
up in the
those snaps
corner.
I could have deleted this whole time. Could have deleted those.
No, dude, that's my average is about 4 to 1.
Oh,
Four
yeah.
four stupid, horrible.
That's a really good ratio.
Yeah, and then I get a good one.
See, my Twitter is like 16 to 1. Yeah. That's why I don't really tweet too much. Anywho, we are now entering into the second half of the show. And I think the biggest question out there is the, obviously there's a lot of excitement about the offense and their progression, but, a lot of questions from the fans are, why are they progressing? Why has Taysom turned the corner? Why is the offensive line doing so well? So let's go ahead and address that. Mike, what do you think the reasons are?
I think it's a combination of a lot of players getting better and more experience, but it all starts with one guy, and that's Ty Detmer. So in the 10 combined second half possessions versus Toledo and Michigan State, BYU has 8 touchdowns and 2 field goals
Oh, come
Wow.
on.
in their 10 possessions in the second halves.
Wow.
So that shows that Ty Detmer has been really good at readjusting at the second half. I mean, I've been so impressed with his play calling. First of all, I'm an old school football fan. I love the naked boots. I love the I formation. I love the use of the tight end. But Ty Detmer's NFL brain has proven to just really be effective in college football. I mean, I've been really impressed with that. And then after that, then yes, Taysom Hill.
Yep.
Coming into his own, becoming the competitor. I'm not saying he's the same guy he used to be, because he used to be more of a runner.
Yeah.
But Taysom Hill, the competitor, is back.
The competitor, yes.
Yes.
The guy that just makes it happen, whether it's through the air or with his legs. He's moving the ball and putting it in the end zone. And then I think the receivers are just getting a little more experience. And then we talked about earlier, the highlight of the offense.
Yeah.
This past game was the offensive line, no doubt.
Yep. 100%. Alan, what do you think?
I'm right in line with everything my esteemed colleague has been saying.
I didn't talk about Jamal though. I mean, sorry.
Well,
I'll
no,
let you take that.
so Jamal's been a highlight from the get-go, right? From snap
Arizona,
one of the season, Jamal has been obviously incredible. What's happened is around him the offense has gelled.
Yeah.
So
Nice. Yeah.
the offensive line in particular, I think, has pass protection has gotten better. Run blocking has gotten better. And some of that is, at the very beginning of the season, you could see the left side of the line, the 2 guys from SUU were struggling. They were having a tough time with the speed and the size of the guys they were playing against, because they were used to being incredibly dominant in FCS. I don't know if you watched any film on those guys from last season at SUU, but they were just pancaking people,
Yeah.
like
Damn.
right and left. So, obviously they could step up to FBS and it's fine. They just weren't used to it yet.
Yeah.
And you can see now the left side of the pocket isn't collapsing anymore. The left side is doing just as good as the right side. And, Taysom is getting more mature. I loved seeing him step up in the pocket.
Exactly.
I mean, 8 or 10 times just in the last game.
Yep.
He stepped up and delivered great throws.
Dude, there was probably like 3 or 4 times I literally looked away, meaning I looked more down the field when as he stepped up in the pocket, and he was so comfortable and calm. And you felt through the screen, bro. You felt the hit coming, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm looking away. And he just stood in there, boom, strike, and bam, got hit. And I think that's the maturity that Allen is talking about, right? Is to have this pocket presence. And you look at the greats, the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Brady's of the world that sit there and it's like, yep, I'm about to get hit, but you know what? It's gonna feel way better getting this ball off and getting a first down or a touchdown or wherever the case is. So I think all those things really play effect. And first and foremost, I saw this change happening West Virginia, right? For them to barely put any points on the board the last few games, and then come into West Virginia, and then boom, right? It's kind of skyrocket. You're like, whoa. But then the defense messed up. So and then you get into Toledo, and it's like, oh, okay, that corner is turned 100%. Like they're swerving, like the doors open. They're dancing on top of cars. They're ghost riding. All that. Sorry, these are all Bay Area terms. And I'm being a little bit ghetto.
Shaking the dreads.
Right, shaking the dreads. But I mean, that's really what happened as far as the progression, right? And it doesn't happen overnight. These things don't happen overnight. And a lot of the questions we had from fans prior was, how long is this gonna take? How long is this gonna take? What needs to happen? And it's just reps. Game reps, man.
Yeah, apparently the answer is 3 games.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to take 3 games for the offense to turn the corner, and now it looks like, what you were saying, they're still getting better.
Yep. Exactly.
They're obviously still getting noticeably better every game. So, by the end of this season, I expect to see just kind of stupefying numbers.
And then another game with no turnovers.
Yep.
I think that's one of the best stats to look at on the offensive side of the ball, and a big part of that is Taysom Hill. I mean,
Taysom, man.
Did you notice this game? His touch.
Yep.
Like, talk about a huge difference from week 2, week 3, where those bullets were coming out really, really hot, really hard to catch. But there was in the beginning of the game, he's rolling out to the right, and I think he threw it to, was it Pearson, or I think it might have been Pearson. But anyway, he just kind of just a little gentle, soft touch, just got it right where it needed to be, just the right amount of time. And I saw that and I was like, holy cow.
Yep.
That's what we've been looking for. We need the bullets sometimes, but most of the time you just need a little soft.
To that point too, you look back at some of the interceptions, right, off the tip balls. They were 90-mile-an-hour, fastballs. And now we always say, hey, in the day, bro, like Ross will say all the time, in the day you gotta catch it because it hits your hands. But and that's on paper. When you look at it as an analyst, it's like, well, okay, you could have shaved off some miles, and to see that progression, going back to what Alan's saying on the maturity, yeah, it's just that. But I think you're right, Mike, with the competitiveness. Bro, I remember Max would get pissed off in practice. No lie, it's like week 8, Air Force week, and we're going head-to-head, offense versus defense, which is, we only get like 5-10 minutes of practice in the season to go against each other as full team. And this dude is talking smack. He's kicking people off of the sideline, like starters off of the sideline. He's like, "Dude, get out of here! You're not running this right. You're jogging. I don't care if your ankles, hurt or whatever. Go back to Muscle Beach. Get it taped up before you come out here. I'm not losing to these bums." And just so much respect, man, that you have. It's week 8 going against a team that we dominate in Air Force every single year. And he's passionate and practicing just like it's Oklahoma, man. You know what I mean? Where everybody's healthy, everybody's full go. And that is a whole nother level that you just respect. And you think about, a story like that, and a story like what you see now with Taysom, but also with Riley, right? And how, Joe Sampson said the other show, when the fact that Riley was running down on kickoffs, dude, that competitive edge and those juices, like, you gotta respect that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Man, it frustrates me. Fans hate on Riley a lot because he wasn't as successful as some of our other quarterbacks and all that stuff. But man, a full season of a completely healthy Riley Nelson, That would have been fun to watch.
Oh yeah, 100%.
That would have been fun to watch.
I was on BYU Sports Nation earlier this week, and I read a tweet, and it was like it was at Still Team Riley, and I was as a Twitter, I was dying laughing because
yes, that was Riley Nelson's mom.
Oh man, but yeah, I mean Riley is loved. I mean we got to get Riley on the show, talk a little bit about the quarterbacks, but I mean I really wanted to have an emphasis, with this on the competitiveness, man, and something I want to continue this into the fourth quarter as we wrap up the third quarter, but I want to go into the technique because a lot of people are saying, well, is it the fact that they just have more time? Is it the fact that they are just having more reps and they're seeing just different looks? What is it truly? And we'll talk about that coming up in the fourth quarter here. So stay tuned to the Royal Blue Podcast, and we'll break down what really, really has pushed this offense to the next level.
It's 4th and inches and I'm going right at them. Keep me from getting money, I won't let them. No matter their size, I'm getting by. Put the pedal to the metal. I bust right through. All that's left is the rebel. All I see is
Welcome back to the Royal Blue Podcast by the players, for the fans. And if you guys would like to contribute to the podcast by giving us questions and topics and truly just being a part of this program, please go to the website, www.theroyalbluepodcast.com. And there's a section that says subscribe. What you're actually doing from that subscription is being able to get weekly newsletters, updates, all the content that we're delivering, any type of special features that we offer to our fans for helping out. So please go ahead and we'll send you all those things. If not, just continue to download and listen. You can subscribe by iTunes, Stitcher, all that good stuff. Any podcast directory that you think of and that you'd want to consume this great locker room talk, please go ahead and do that. So now we're entering into the fourth quarter of play. I teased in the third quarter, what I think truly has pushed this offense to the next level. And I'm going to say it's technique, man. Technique, trumps everything. And, Bronco used to say hard work will beat talent, and that's true. And to break that down a little bit more, Mike Elisa, what you should really work hard at is your technique, right? Yeah, you want to do hustle plays and things like that. We all hustle. But as far as being a student of the game and that technique, man, I think is really what separates you. And Uncle B, who has been, a BYU insider, has said that's been the biggest difference is the offensive line, finally getting their technique down. How is that as a player, Mike? When you come from high school, you're like, oh, I'm just big ball. I'm just a bully. I'm doing whatever I want. But now you get to a level where you're equivalent, in height, weight, speed, athletic ability. Now you have to focus on that technique.
Yeah, well, they say practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, right? We've all heard that. Preach. And what I've noticed is in my play, I remember just trying to do my own thing and kind of doing what I thought I saw guys doing.
Yeah.
And then a coach would come along and say, "No, this is the this is why they're doing it, and this is the proper way to do it. Whether it was, the proper way to club and rip, the proper way to spin off of a tackler. These are things that once you got it down right, it blew your mind, and you couldn't wait to watch yourself in film because it's like, man, I killed that, and it actually worked.
Right.
I believe you, coach.
Right.
Man, you've been telling me all along to do it this way, and I never listened. Now I listened, and it worked.
Right. I'm sorry. This
Wow.
is. It took me
You're
to my
genius.
Sorry,
It's
it took
like
me
you're
to
a professional.
Sorry, it took me to my red shirt senior year with 3 games left of the season.
That's right. And then you're mad that you didn't learn it sooner.
Right. It's like, well, you know what? If he didn't yell at me that way, I would have listened better. But
and so you see receivers running crisper routes, and you see guys doing it the way it's supposed to be done, and it makes a world of a difference.
100%, man. Because I mean, like Alan said, you look at some of these guys on different levels and how they just were dominating, and you see that kids in high school or junior college. They have all of the talent in the world, all the skill sets, but it's like, why aren't you putting this together for some reason? Is it truly, I say it's your intelligence, right? Your football IQ, and that has to do with the X's and O's, but the actual technique. And I love how, these coaches, or I feel, in my opinion, are more technicians, right? So with Bronco, it's like everybody's running around like, you sprint to that drill. You're not what? You're not sprinting. Hit the fence. And it's like, what? Bro, I'm tired. I'm just tied my shoe. Like, come on, dude. And so with Kalani, you go out there and it's like everybody's calm, everybody's cool, but you see everybody huddled up and you see all these teaching moments. You know, yeah, guys are on knees looking up at the coaches, but you know they are in these teaching moments, right, where it's like an invisible whiteboard, right? They have one player up and it's like they're showing them how to do proper technique or proper leverage or whatever the case is. And you see that now starting to really come and play a huge impact on the field right now. And something that I tell people all the time is with corner, especially anybody can play corner, bro. I've been around.
I don't know about that,
bro. Anybody, I'm telling you, this can blow your mind. There's some camera guys, some student assistants 2 years ago, and I taught them how to play corner just on a whiteboard. And
I was gonna say, I'm a fat old white guy. We're gonna put this to the test.
We're gonna put you up against Terrell Owens,
bro.
Yep.
It's so easy. I've been around players and corners that, like, for my junior college, for example, my freshman year, one guy was All-American, All-State, All-Conference, had like 12 interceptions. No lie, ran a 4.6, was not so goofy, like just goofy looking. Literally had a fish hook face mask.
That's probably why the quarterback didn't respect him.
No,
Probably just throwing ducks his way.
Oh, it was definitely strategic on why he did that. But check this out though. With technique, he was just a big baller, shot caller, right? Didn't have too many balls caught on him, made amazing plays. But what was very interesting is he didn't have one D1 scholarship. And it's because when scouts at the next level from, you know, college and the pros, it's, yeah, you got perfect technique and you're in the right places. Your football intelligence is amazing, but you can't truly hang when somebody else comes up with proper technique and they run a 4.3 and they're 6'5", like, you're gonna get toasted. So, you know, from that perspective, you know, a technique, and hard work will take you so far. You still have to have, you know, that talent, but you know, when I saw that and even coming to the next level, I was like, man, you have hard work, you have talent, and you have technique, and you can do literally almost anything. You know what I mean?
I really like that. Okay, I was wondering where you're going with that for a second. I was like, anyone can be a corner, but I agree. In my hometown, I mean, and I'm sure where you're from, there's a lot of freak athletes, and these kids did not have technique, right? Because, I mean, a bunch of high school kids, but
yeah, you don't need it.
They were just beasts on the field, and then you see them get to college, and even the extreme athletes can still get by in college with no technique,
right?
But there gets to a point where your athleticism maxes out, and you need a little extra to get you into a competitive position, and that's where technique comes in.
Well, see, you look at schools like Alabama, right, and all these big time coaches that, you know, get these big time recruits like you're talking about, Mike. But then they put them into their program that has to do with technique. And it's like, you hear, you know, Urban Meyer and Nick Saban talk about certain drills that they do at practice. I'm like, why do I need to do that? I don't need to do that drill. Like, I wouldn't have gave that kid a scholarship if I didn't think he can do this. If I didn't think he can tackle. If I didn't think he can do this. It's just dang technique is why he got beat. It's not because of anything else. And it's like, oh, damn, coach. Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. And, you know, when I was talking to, you know, some of the student assistants at BYU a couple years ago about the position, I said, look, dude, if you're playing corner, there's two things that you're going to see from a quarterback initially when you're doing your back pedal, which is called a read step. The reason why you do a back pedal is so you can read and scan the entire field of what's going on. And your first key is looking at the quarterback when the ball snaps. Is he doing a 3-step drop or is he doing a 5-step drop? If you're doing a 3-step drop, what does that scientifically tell you? That you're probably going to have
pass.
Short pass.
Route.
Short route, right? Short pass equals short route. So if I am lined up at 7 or 8 yards and I'm doing a read step, meaning I'm backpedaling, but I'm slow because I'm reading, right? And if I see a 3-step drop, what should I do, Michael Lisa? Probably stop backpedaling.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because it's going to come out
ready
quick.
to break.
Right, right, exactly. Now, same thing with a 5-step drop, right? If I see that, what should I should probably pick up the pace a little bit, right? Okay, 5-step drop. Here we go. Now, then, once I read that 3-step or the 5-step drop, I then can shift my eyes to the receiver, right? And based off of what the receiver is doing at that time where my eyes are at, when my eyes are back on him, if he's coming at me full blown and it's a 5-step drop, he's probably going deep, right?
Turn your hips.
Now, if he, right, exactly. Let me get an advantage and turn my hips a little bit quicker. Now, if I look at him and it's a 5-step drop and I snap my eyes back to the receiver and he's doing more of a stem. A stem is when you shade somebody either inside or outside. And the purpose of this is to get the receiver or the corner to kind of go a different way or bite a different way or really remove his leverage, right? So if the receiver is doing an inside stem, typically that means he's doing an inside route, right? So 5-step drop, inside stem. What am I immediately thinking? Post or dig. I just broke in a half a second. I just figured out what the route was, man. Off a technique. Anybody can play corner. Anybody can play corner. It's that simple and easy. Now, if we want to
Then
go,
you just have to be Mike Davis and be able to keep up with the guy.
yeah, exactly.
That helps.
And tall like
Yes.
him, so when it's a jump ball, because I can still
You're gonna come down with it.
This goes back to what Mike is saying. You still want to be put, or you still have to have those other two, hard work and that talent. Because I could read the right coverage and have the advantage from my technique, and the receiver can do the same thing, but when it's jump ball and I'm 5'6" and he's 6'5", yeah, it doesn't matter, right? It's all thrown out the door. But that at least puts you in the proper place, at the right time. And this goes on with every single position, man. And I could even go a step further, and I can say, well, if it's third and 3, and it's a pass, and I see a 3-step drop, and I see like and the receiver is inside the numbers, I'm probably thinking out, right? Because with a 3-step drop, I'm thinking either it's a fade route, and a quick out or a quick slant, right? And so if it's 3rd and 3 and they want to throw the ball and he's inside the numbers, he's bringing me inside so he can have a little bit more space on the outside of the numbers to the sideline, right? It wouldn't be smart for him to be inside the numbers and run a slant because my linebacker is a lot closer to me and can get in that window. So if he's outside the numbers and it's 3rd and 3-step drop, I'm thinking slant, boom, I'm jumping it. I'm not backpedaling anymore. When I see the 3 steps, boom, I'm gone. Pick.
If he was running a crosser, would you just leave him?
It depends on the defense, really.
Yeah.
With us, I mean, playing a lot of zone or cover 2 in those situations, we would leave them because the corners on the cover 2 corners that are rolled up closer to the line of scrimmage should be able to take those crossers if they declare quick enough.
Right.
But yeah, man. I mean, when you look at linemen and you look at running backs and all that, I mean, if you go down the path of that, and the funny thing is this happens so fast. All that happens in 2.5 seconds. So if you don't have your mind right and all that stuff, then yeah. But it takes time, man. Game reps are way different than practice reps.
How pumped were you for Mike Davis getting his first career interception and at a very crucial time?
Oh, huge.
Right? I mean,
that really turned the game around.
That really was, and that was the time all of us were. I mean, if he hadn't cried yet, I mean, I think that might have been when it started. Maybe started to well up a little bit. I probably did, but I mean, Mike Davis coming up big in the corner position. That was awesome.
And, man, that dude. I love Mike Davis. Like, he's a quiet guy. He doesn't do media interviews. He doesn't do any of that stuff. And you don't hear his name called a lot because he's just a lockdown corner.
Yep.
Like, people aren't throwing at him because he'll do that to you.
Yep.
But, man, that guy just always happy and quietly working on his game and working on improving the team.
Yep. And you love those guys. And Alan, to your point, when as a corner, especially a corner, you don't want you want to have a quiet game, right? You don't want your name called because that means you're not getting picked on. You know what I mean? Because usually, the announcer's not going to say, "There's another catch an 8-yard catch by Brian Logan. It was caught on by Michael Davis. He needs to brush up on his cover skills." You're not going to hear that, but you will hear 8-yard catch by Brian Logan brought down by Michael Davis. And when you hear those a lot, when a corner has like 11 tackles, it's just,
That's not good.
That's not good. So as a corner, you want to hear, and fans, you don't want to hear these corners' names. You know what I mean? Like, same thing with Troy. When Troy's been in, Troy Warner, it's like, where's this kid at? And I'm like, well, I had to remember. I'm not
That's
hearing
great.
it. It's a good thing. I'm not hearing his name. So, yeah, man. I mean, it was exciting to see that. I hated how he got pushed out by a lineman, though. That's just a no-no. Like, how you gonna push out by a lineman?
When he had
Linemen and
that,
quarterbacks, bro.
wall going in front of him, man, he was seeing end zone.
Dude, you know, I look back and there was a couple of guys that were just like Fred, love you, Fred. And I know you run way faster than that, but it's a little bit hard when you get an interception and you're like, okay, who do I get? How do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Oh my gosh, what do I do? You're not used to being a lead blocker. You know what I mean? And I think Kai came up on the sideline and like passed Fred and like pushed him like, get out, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And then Fred and then Kai went and hit somebody did, but I think that slowed him down just a little bit. But still, man, I would love to see that score. That's the rule. Can't get breaking or taken down by quarterbacks, punters, and kickers, or linemen. That's just a no-no.
Man, I got taken down by a quarterback once. It was Tyrone Swoops, though.
that-
Texas quarterback.
that doesn't count.
He's pretty athletic. But no, lead blocking, that's been hard sometimes because you don't know where the guy's at, how fast he's going. But it's Mike Davis.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
what was he, like second place in California 100-meter dash?
Right.
Just take off.
Right, exactly.
Go find somebody.
he's a
Trust me, he's
speedster.
behind you.
He is, man. So, all right, well, dude, I appreciate you guys for coming in on this beautiful Sunday. That'll wrap up our show, episode 7. Been there, done that. Man, I'm happy to get back in the booth. All you fans who've been, blasting us to get back. This one's for you. So we'll come back this week. Have a couple shows ready, prepared for you guys. Some good stuff. So stay tuned. And yes, man, that's another Cougar.
First down.
That was good, Mike. That was a good one.